Critics are warning that a proposed tax on landlords in Washington state will backfire. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and once again, it is coming out of the state of Washington. Now, I've mentioned many times before that Seattle in particular, but the rest of the state as well, are very, very left-leaning, very anti-landlord. They're always trying to pass a new law, rule, or regulation to restrict what landlords can do with their own property. Now, in this case, it seems that they're trying to pass a landlord tax, and the critics are just saying, hey, this isn't going to work. This is going to probably have the opposite of the intended effect, okay? It's going to make housing more expensive, it's going to make it less available, and it's going to be bad for both tenants and landlords in the end. And that's not what we want to see. What we want to see is them making it easier for landlords to rent their properties out, easier for them to develop. And what that will do is that will make housing less expensive, okay? And that's the real problem that we have right now. Housing is too expensive, especially in places like Washington State, up in Seattle, but it's getting expensive even in places where I live, okay? It's not as expensive, not even near, and by comparison, it would seem dirt cheap, right? But there are a lot of people here who have trouble affording their housing. And so I don't like that, hey, the barriers to entry to become a landlord are getting greater for those who wish to use this as a way to make wealth. I don't like that the people who want to own a home, they can't because they can't find homes because, housing is so expensive to build and people are just holding on to it. But this is what we're going to continue to see as long as they continue to push these ridiculous anti-property rights, anti-landlord laws. So before we get into this article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Do you believe that a tax on landlords will have the intended effect or the opposite effect and make things worse? Okay, and now obviously I've mentioned many times before, my belief is that a lot of these rules, regulations, taxes, etc., to go after landlords, they actually make things worse. And as we go through this article, I'm going to tell you exactly why I feel that way. So anyway, let's get into it and see what the article has to say. This article is coming from thecentersquare.com, and it says, critics warn that Washington landlord tax will backfire. Yeah. All right, let's get into it. Washington residential and commercial landlords are currently exempt from the state's business and occupation tax, also known as a gross receipts tax. A proposal in the state Senate would change that by enacting a B&O tax on the gross proceeds of $1 million or more a year. It's a bill supporters say will either provide more state revenue to fund a homelessness prevention program or prevent higher rent by having landlords agree to caps on increases. HB 6136, sponsored by Senator Patty Cooterer, a Democrat from Bellevue, would impose a 1.5 to 1.75% tax on residential and commercial landlords. However, it allows landlords to file for an exemption to the B&O tax if they participated in a rent stabilization program in which rent does not increase by more than 5% in a year. The residential landlord tax would take effect in 2025, while the commercial landlord tax would begin in 2027. The tax exemption would last for 10 years. So, yeah, this is their backdoor way of trying to implement more strict rent control. They're like, oh, well, you can either be taxed or you can take rent control. Believe me, if it's up to me, I'm going to take the tax because I'm going to feed that tax to the tenants in terms of higher rents. Okay, so that's not going to help anything. They think, oh, I'm going to take a tax cut, but I'm going to be stuck under rent control. Hell no, that's dumb as hell. Only an idiot would do that. Okay, we can work taxes into our bills. Now, unfortunately, that only makes housing more expensive for renters, just like I said, right? You're not going to convince landlords to just eat the losses from significantly declined amounts of rent income they can take in. So I don't know why they think that's a good idea. It's a horrible idea, right? And what are they going to use this money for? Well, for homelessness. That's their new pet project, the pet cause. They think, oh, we got to funnel billions of dollars into homelessness. Why are these people homeless? Why are they homeless? That is the real question. Okay, if we're talking about certain types of homelessness, it's because of affordability of housing, and affordability of housing isn't going to be improved by taxing landlords. We already know that. So if affordability of housing isn't improved by taxing landlords, then that's not going to actually help with homelessness. And then the other type of homelessness is the type that, unfortunately we see a lot of, which is, the people with mental health issues and substance abuse issues who are living in tents on the streets, right? And they're not going to be helped by taxing landlords either, because those are the type of people who refuse to try to live in shelters. They don't want to improve their lives. They just want to be 100% dependent on the government to take care of them. And you know what? You can't help that sort of person by just keeping on throwing more money at them. Like read about these homeless hotels, and you hear about, hey, well, the place became essentially dirty drug houses because the people who were living inside, just because they had a shelter over their head, that didn't change the way they acted. Okay, they still were very dirty. They still were, drug addicted. They still suffer from the same mental health problems as before. So yeah, the homeless hotels didn't work, yet they want to continue to throw more and more money at the problem. The problem is more specific than that, and I'm not going to go into what I believe needs to really be done because, people wouldn't like that. They wouldn't like that. Anyway, let's continue. Any tax revenue collected through the bill will be put into the Home Security Fund to fund the Eviction Rental Assistance Program. Cutterer told colleagues at a January 17th public hearing of Senate Housing Committee that because it's not a mandate, it's optional. It's important. It's an important consideration for us to look at. So they're saying that they're going to funnel this money into the eviction prevention program for rental assistance, right? So you're going to tax me and then make me pay for rental assistance to go back to me. That's dumb as hell. Okay, that's dumb as hell. Instead, what they should be doing is allowing these people to be evicted, right? Because whether they are evicted immediately or not, right, the rental assistance is not going to help people, pay their bills. The only thing it's going to do is create a system of dependence upon government to pay your bills for you. Now, that's the problem with all of these socialist programs, right? You create a system of dependence upon government. I need the government to be able to pay my bills. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it. Well, what happens when the government's no longer there? What happens when they run out of money? What happens when the people who are paying the taxes to pay your rental assistance, they say, I'm not paying that anymore. I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere where I don't have to pay these taxes, right? Suddenly, you're put in a position where, oh, well, now I'm really am homeless. Now I am in true trouble, okay? And that's not helping anybody. Instead, we need to teach these people financial literacy so that they can pay their bills on time, live within their means, and have money left over afterwards. But no, we don't want to do that. That's too hard. That's too hard. Instead, we're just going to throw your money at them. And I'm talking about, when I say your, I mean landlords' money. We're going to throw the landlords' money at these people so that they can live and they don't have to do anything. They don't have to take care of themselves. They could just sit on their butts and the mommy and daddy government will take care of them. Well, you know what? I'm sick of this garbage. I'm absolutely sick of it. This is why I say I wouldn't invest in a place like Seattle, okay? I don't like the way that it's going, where socialism and these ridiculous policies are being pushed. And, this is just dumb. This is dumb. And in the end, we're going to see as more and more people, they get smart to what's going on, what really is going to happen here.